Thank you for being here.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us in celebration of International Coaching Week. And here with us is Katya Talavera. And Katya is a professional and clinical psychologist. She started her career as a certified clinical psychologist. She worked for 10 years in the corporate world in the oil and gas sector, both in Bolivia and England. And she opened her consultancy firm 19 years ago with a strong commitment to the development and transformation of and participating in challenging projects, designing interventions tailored to the specific needs of each of her clients. She's also a certified executive and organizational coach, breakthrough coach with Marsha Reynolds, and systemic coach practitioner with GTCI, Peter Hawkins. Recently, she received her PCC, congratulations, ICF accreditation. Along her continuous professional development, she has an MBA, Master in HR Leadership and Organizational Change. Currently, she is the GTCI Systemic Team Coaching Program with Peter Hawkins. And the most important aspect of her life is her family, her husband, Simon, and her 3 kids, Sophia, Thomas, and Samuel, who died at the age of 18. Thank you, Katya, for being with us and for sharing this space with us and the South Florida chapter.
Okay, thank you for inviting me. Respecting that we only have 50 minutes and we have very little time and a lot to share. I'm gonna start presenting what I prepared for today. And maybe if you have questions, you could probably write them in the chat, and then I guess Claudia will share them. Okay?
Sure.
So let me see. Give me 1 second. Okay. So can you see my screen? Okay.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so this is the invitation for this conversation today. When I saw the invite, I started, it was really something that blew my mind. It really, the title of the ICF Coaching Week, Explore Your Potential, and I was thinking, okay, I'll take the invitation, I will get out of my comfort zone, and I'll start exploring my being a coach. You know? So I thought of sharing experiences with my clients. I had been working with a huge amount of people in a career change, but then I thought, okay, I'm going to challenge myself even more. So what happened there? I thought, okay, I'm going to share what I'm going through. And that has to do with the process of grieving for the death of my son, Samuel, who passed away a 1.5 years ago. So during all this period of preparation, more than a month, it was asking myself, I had cold feet. What am I going to talk? What am I going to share? What's the value of putting myself there with the most important aspect of my life, showing something extremely intimate and being vulnerable? The imposter syndrome was all the time there. I would go to my coach, to colleagues, family, and well, I'm here. And this is a case study. It's not a theoretical framework. The basis is solely my direct experience. I might mention some authors or quotes which have helped me and which I have discovered before Samuel's death, but they have been with me and they've been strong anchors during this process, and I continue to study them. As a disclosure, I'm not a grief coach, and I'm not sure if after this process, I'm gonna become one. So I've seen some things, but this is like discovering my own path. So it's a work in progress. I still have a lot to walk. And I would ask you to decide to listen for empathy and compassion. It takes a lot of courage to be here, but I ask you for empathy and compassion. You may ask questions, okay? But I would like to reserve the right to respond. This is just a reminder for me that I can choose, that I'm not gonna be in a situation where I feel that I am more vulnerable than what I choose to do. So this is really what it turned out to be to today, May 12th, 2023. So I changed the title, and I changed the title this morning. It's working in progress, and I thought it's co-creating a better version of being a coach. And why do I say co-creation? Because probably all of you who decided to come and listen to me, you're gonna be part of this co-creation. And this is about using both the different hats. Primarily, I chose two hats to share with you, and that's as a coach and as a coaching client hat. So I'm gonna be changing when I am a coach, when I'm a client coach, and when I'm receiving the intervention of a coach during the grieving process after someone's death. So what's the purpose and what are the takeaways? Why share something so intimate? Why would they care? Why would you care to be here? There's some familiar faces, people I love, and people I'm seeing for the first time. It's sharing my journey wearing these hats I mentioned. I will try to share with you some intervention tools and powerful questions which have allowed me to move towards a healthier and less painful process, and maybe provide some ideas for you who are coaches going through a loss process or receiving a client in grief. What I've realized that grieving, it's not only when somebody dies. It could be of losing a job, it could be separating, divorcing, it could be even a pet that dies. I would give you some context before someone's death. It's in Spanish there, marzo. It's March 2020, October 2021. Just when COVID started, with the lockdown, and a little bit before, our country had a lot of conflict, social, political, economical. COVID was coming, lots of challenges. And my mindset was, we have to look at this differently. We can do something with this. So that's when I had been a coach for many years, but it was the time when I decided I would take it seriously. And that's when I made the decision that I wanted to get the ICF accreditation with standards. I really, really identified myself with the ICF code of ethics. So I was working in a virtual environment, really feeling that I was going to change my career. So those are examples of the different groups working with in team coaching. And then that's my family. my husband Simon, Sophia, Tomas in the middle, and Samuel, who's the youngest, no? So that is when Tomas graduated from school, and Samuel died the 6th of November 2021, and that was in December, and he was gonna graduate from high school in May, no? So I was working in team coaching. I was with Thomas and another co-worker. We were going in, I was driving, going back from a client, and suddenly I look at Thomas' face, and I knew he received a phone call, and I knew that face would change our lives. And that's the image that probably reflects what happened to me. I was in a busy highway. I was driving. Thomas was on my side, my coworker in the back, and there were heavy trucks going, no? And I looked at Thomas, and Thomas says, my dad just told me that Samuel is dead. What did I do at that moment? While I was with the wheel in my hand, I started screaming. And I started screaming and screaming and screaming and looking around and saying, I cannot let go. I have to stay grounded. And I went and I parked. I sat down. I took some breathing, and I looked at my son, Thomas, and I said, I can't drive. Can you continue, please? Are you okay? So he said he was. So my coworker, I think he got so scared, he got out of the car and he ran. He left, you know? And with that emotional impact, the screaming allowed me to take all that emotion of, it was like feeling that I had a tornado, I had an earthquake, I had a tsunami, all at the same time. And I felt like I had to let it go, and that all that emotion had to come out. And while Thomas was driving, I started breathing, and I was asking myself, give me some clarity, give me clarity. What do I need to do? What do I need to do? And I started calling my family, and I would say, Samuel is dead. I need you to help me think clearly because I'm not able. So I called my sisters, I called my therapist, I called my coach. And that was the only thing. I didn't know what's gonna happen. And I guess at that moment, I started like creating a support network that when I arrived at home, I had family there. I had my coach that said, I'm here for you. My therapist says, I'm gonna call you. She called later just to check. And that image of the road, it was very busy, but I can't remember. It was like it went in short motion, and it was like 40 minutes. And something allowed me to anchor, and I started saying, I need to be grateful. I have to be grateful for having Samuel for 80 years. And I'm gonna honor his life. So I started visualizing and all that, trying to, the pain was there, but trying to say, I need to be grateful. I want to be grateful, and I choose to be grateful. Namkonde Kasonde, I got into her presentation she did in WBEX, and I was so impressed with her presentation of how she said, when you're changing and you're navigating through a tornado. And I bring this because at that moment when I got the news that my son was dead, it was like tornado, earthquake, tsunami, the end of the world. So everything was there. So I guess unconsciously, her work touched me, and I said, I have to have an orison. And the things that she said, like going step by step, her work in a way really touched me. And I didn't see it. I've just seen it after 2 years, no? So that was helpful. And saying, she would talk, okay, in a tornado, you're either a host, you provoke the tornado, or you are, you're either a host or a guest. So I asked myself, in this situation, what am I? What am I? So I'm gonna take a bit of everything that can be helpful. It was very difficult, extremely difficult to put words into what I was feeling or what I was going through. And I would have people that would come to me and they would say their condolences, and they would say something like, okay, lucky you, you have an angel. And that hurt so much. That was really, really helpful, unhelpful. That was very painful. So when I saw this sculpture, this is by a Romanian sculptor. It is in Switzerland, and it's called Melancholy. And he did this sculpture when his wife died. And this allowed me to put words into what I was feeling, because I felt empty. I felt that the sense of being a mom, all the organs that are related to being a mother were gone. And I questioned myself. And I would feel like if I didn't have skin, I was skinless. And everything that happened, it hurt really, really strongly. And one of my friends said to me the other day, when we were talking about this presentation, she said that I used to say, I wake up every morning and continue with my empty, sad, and skinless life. Although I chose every day to wake up and see the sunrise as an opportunity. And that would give me some comfort. Viktor Frankl, with his book, Man's Search for Meaning, is a book that came to me in many important moments of my life. And he appeared as well when someone died. And it was this idea that where he said that there can't be anything worse than being in a concentration camp. And I thought, is it worse than losing a son? And it was like, I wish I could speak with him and ask him, because I felt like, what can be worse like this than this? When there's no word, then can, when parents lose a kid, there isn't a word. I found in my searching that there's a Sanskrit word which means that is not natural, out of natural order. Viktor Frankl said, everything that can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, is to choose one's attitude in a given set of circumstances, to choose one's way. So I guess I chose to honor someone's life and to be grateful for his life. I needed to search. I went around, what can I do with this intense pain? I was really, it felt that anguish that wouldn't let me sleep, that anguish that I couldn't pause. And it was, where do I look for help? In the beginning, I started speaking with parents who had lost their children. I thought of forming a group. And when I met a couple who had lost a child because of suicide, and I thought, this is too delicate. This is I'm not prepared. I'm not prepared to be able to create this. And I found with a friend who came to me, a mutual grieving help group. So now at the moment I'm co-coordinating and learning a lot with the people that go. I went to therapy coach, grief coach. I would look at books, read a lot, movies, looked at nature, trying to learn from nature, in contact with pets. I think pets have been an important aspect in this grieving process, just understanding how they knew without words that you needed them. So this is Rocky. He came to my office during the lockdown and he adopted me. Some moments I've talked about receiving the news, asking for help. While I was working, after a week, 2 of my clients came and said, okay, it's time, we need to meet again. And I was like, okay, what do you want to do? So I chose to meet with them. And I said, I'm going to prepare myself slowly and I'm going to experiment. I did a lot of grounding, I supervised, I chose the times, and it was good because I was pushing myself, but respecting my time. So I was finding my feet there. And at the end, I decided that I didn't want to work with that type of clients. And we couldn't meet. We couldn't meet where we both were. So that was a good learning. Samuel was gonna graduate a few months after his death. So that was a very difficult time for me, and I needed support. And I think for his graduation, I needed support from everywhere. So something I want to share with you is that I went to my coach and I said, I'm scared. I'm scared because I had accepted to go to the graduation ceremony and receive a present that the seniors were going to give me, remembering Sammy. And I said, I'm scared. And my coach asked me, you're scared of what? And I said, I'm scared of falling apart. What she said to me was, why are you going there? What's the reason? So I said, it's to honor Sammy. And she said, it's not about you then. It's about your son. That in a way was so helpful of shifting, like I felt the lights are not on me. I'm not there to prove me. It was not about me. So that gave me immense strength. That gave me a clear purpose, why I was there. And I think that was one of the best interventions I received, and that gave me strength through many aspects and preparing for special dates. The accreditation was part of the process. I recorded, I practiced, I sent them, and I didn't pass, and I didn't pass, and I didn't pass. And I was like, when Sammy died, I said, okay, I'm gonna get the accreditation like 2 months after he died. No, it was not possible. And I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I didn't because I learned about presence. So I recently got it last week. Brené Brown, what she said about grief, that it's unique as it's a fingerprint. It's not a process. It's not steps that everybody's gonna follow. Even the emotions that appear are, everybody is different and how they react. But she says that what everybody has in common is that no matter how they grieve, they share a need for their grief to be witnessed That doesn't mean needing somebody to try to lessen it or reframe it for them. The need is for somebody to be fully present to the magnitude of their loss without trying to point out the silver lining. So if you receive a client who's in grief, it's just being fully present and meeting where they are. Susan David, she says, we don't get over grief. We learn to walk with grief. Grief changes us, it rewrites us, and we in turn rewrite our lives with it. Kintsugi was something that I had seen before, but it spoke to me differently. And it's a Japanese art that's more than 500 years, that it says when something breaks, you don't need to throw it away. You can get the parts back together and glue them with gold. And it's the art of precious scars, of accepting the imperfections and seeing the beauty. So I think that's where I am at the moment, realizing that there are scars and I'm healing. And I chose this image of the heart that's still moving, still in process. And I won't be able to go back, and I'm not interested to go to the previous me. Now going to what's the client's hat. As a client hat, what did I realize? That I needed space to put words to my feelings. That silence was better than words. I did not want advice on what was good for me. And mainly from people who hadn't gone through that process. When I received, I would say, suggestions, recommendations of other parents, that was special because I felt they were in my own skin. I did not want it to be fixed, feel judged, or feel people's pity. As a coaching hat, my greatest fear, me as a coach, was not being able to be present again. And I think I lost my purpose. I was questioning myself. Okay, you studied psychology, you studied this, and what is it? So I started questioning. What my coach said to me when I would go and I said, I lost the purpose in my life. Everything is meaningless. I question everything. She said, the purpose and the new meaning will emerge at the right time. And I guess at this moment, it is slowly merging. Not to get caught in my own emotions when I am in the coach preparation, preparing before I see a client was very helpful. It still is. And to having a detached empathy, about being able to center myself and not take responsibility for others' emotions. And I felt that with my coach, giving me space, but I didn't feel my coach had pity for me. I felt she was holding a space that in a way gave me more space and allowed me to be gaining clarity. I think that authenticity, trust, and mutual respect were something that does help. Being authentic when Sammy died, and some of my clients knew, I called and I said, I'm not going to be available. I'm going to take some time and just expressing I'm vulnerable. I don't have the emotional availability to be there. Some of the tools, I would say visualization, to visualize, to be able to anticipate. Many social events, special dates are really scary. Going to a wedding for the first time, seeing people in saying, okay, they're going to look at me with pity, they won't know what to say. So visualizing that was very helpful. The use of images to connect with emotions, that helped me. And that helped me to really come back when I felt lost. I would look at images. Being aware of your own emotional thermostat, no, and trusting your body. What is my body telling you? Do I feel comfortable? No. Or I might change because I felt like I would continuously change my emotions, and a decision I made, I would change, and allowing myself to choose all the time. That was very helpful. And not putting pressure on the purpose. No, it will emerge. Give it time. One of the exercises that we did with the mutual support group was writing letters. No, writing letters. What would we say to our loved one? But what really impacted me was when in the group they said, and now Samuel is going to write you a letter. So you have to write the response. That was so powerful. That was really changed a lot. As a coach who's grieving, some of my suggestions would be ask for help. Ask for help. You are human. You are vulnerable. You can't do everything. Build a support network. You can't go alone. You need others. And people are willing to help. And the people that you less think are the people that are going to help the more. Explore when is a good time to go back and how you want to go back. Supervise the exercises of grounding, centering, breathing exercises before the sessions. And this process of bracketing, no, from Gestalt therapy, of putting all assumptions in brackets, but also I would practice of putting everything that was happening to me in brackets. And I said, I would bracket, and I would imagine I was bracketing, and I said, I'm there in service of my client. That did help. And I can't say enough of being aware of your presence. As a coach who's receiving a grieving client, some of my suggestions would be to ask yourself, are you emotionally available to give the space to your client's need? Ask. Maybe you're not, and maybe that's being honest and saying, okay, it's better you look for another client, another coach. Ask what would be most helpful at that moment. I remember I felt so good when both the therapist and the coach said, I don't know how to help you at this moment. What do you need? Be present and receive to understand the real need. In the structure, you can't plan to have a coaching session like you usually have, following certain steps or having a goal or an agreement. You have to be there for your client's needs. Asking yourself, how are you showing up with your whole self, no? Your brain, your heart, your gut, and your spirit. So that's my presentation. So I would like to ask you 2 questions. What's the value that you found in this presentation? And what will you use in your coaching practice or in your life?
Thank you, Katya. I'm going to be the first one. Thank you so much for sharing and for giving us the opportunity to learn from your experience. And I am so grateful for learning from a person who is going through it, right? Like you said, it's a process. So I am so grateful. Like I don't have I wish I had the words. So thank you.
Thanks to you, Claudia.
I'll go next if you don't mind. I've been working, and I've known Katya for 14 years, since Sammy and my daughter were classmates. And it was really hard on us trying to, because I didn't have the words for Katya, I didn't have the words for my daughter either. But after that, I got a chance of working with Katya, and since I'm a member of the board of directors in our school, and also as searching for a job as well. And I just wanted to say that I really admired the way that Katya held on. I was there the night the kids graduated. And I thank you, Katya, in name of all the kids that were there that night. And just wanted to let you know that they love seeing you, because they also love seeing a piece of Sammy in you. And my daughter, she wanted to come in today as in this Zoom. And well, it was also tough on her. But I wanted to thank you because you give all the kids an example of courage. And I think that word sums up of everything you do, because besides that, you have been wonderful in every single aspect of your work. So I wanted to thank you for that courage.
Gracias.
Ken, thank you for courage and to share with us your journey. It's I think none of us can imagine your journey, how it looks like, but you bring this with all your emotion, your vulnerability, and your wisdom, the wisdom you gained through this journey. So thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for the trust. And for you are admirable. You're a very brave woman.
Thank you.
Katya, thank you for showing up with everything that you have and everything that you are, and sharing it so beautifully and openly with us. The authenticity really resonated, the vulnerability, and the trust. We appreciate that. I appreciate it. I really felt it. And the learning is huge. The takeaways, the things that I've gained from listening to you and from hearing your experiences as a coach and as a human being are invaluable. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks to you.
Katya,
I
we
think
have
messages, right? Can you read them?
okay. Yes, if you okay, yes. Natasha, it's not easy to verbalize. This workshop has been a valuable experience. I believe that it's important to validate emotions, both our own and our clients. Thank you very much. Nara, thank you so much. Katya, I can't express how grateful I am. Michelle, thank you for your courage, for speaking from your heart, for allowing us the space to be with you and learn from you. Thank you so much. Like, we are so grateful. Thank you.
So what are you taking from this? Thank you for your words of gratitude. Has it been helpful? If you're gonna apply it in your practice, you're gonna apply it in your life?
Katya, for me, it was very important to listen to you, to feel your story, to like that you created the space. It was also very good for me to understand that I don't have to have the answers or not knowing how to deal with it and say that.
Yeah.
Create this, that I'm there for you. I'm there for my, I'm there for whoever needs. So it's okay to say I don't know. That really like that's like wow. I think as coaches, sometimes we think we have to 100% prepared and own it. Maybe no. You don't need to own it. You just need to be there for the other, and the other person is the most important thing. So if it's silence that you need, if it's a hug, if it's not words, and I think it was very, very important to ask, what do you need, and recognize that. I loved that you were able to, after like still going through the process, put the tools for us to remind to. I don't know if you can share the presentation or the tools too, so I can have a kind of a guideline. I think you have to go with the moment, but it's good to know that the visualization helped. The pet caught my attention a lot. I was not expecting that could be something that can help you too. So it's almost like you're opening up my mind for different ways of being present and for whoever and whenever it needs. And it touched me deeply. I had to go there to cry and come back because I didn't want to be there. So like it really touched me. And I think your courage, it's out of the roof. So thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you, Michelle. You know, when we were in my son's funeral and a classmate came, we were classmates since we were 4. So he came, he hugged me and he said, I have no words. And I said, that's good. That's enough. It was in a way saying, your presence, no, your friend presence is very valuable. So.
And another learning and connecting with what we been listening in other sessions, especially sessions on competencies with Joanna, is to be to connect with our own vulnerability.
Yeah.
And when we connect with our own vulnerability with authenticity, we are able to use ourselves as instrument for our clients. And this is what you show us today.
Yeah. Especially coming from I would say a profession where your main tool is yourself. No, so you can hide it. And yeah.
I think what I really take away, and how I would certainly as a coach, I think I echo what Valeska said. It's really bringing to life how critical and important the principles of coaching are in reality when we are coaching people. The space, the silence, the asking what the client needs so that we can support the client in whatever it is that they need. The bringing this to the way you brought this to life for us in this presentation was beautiful. So thank you for that.
Katya, thank you.
Fiona.
I know we were together on a course when all of this happened, and your courage was amazing. And I'm taking away more than ever, just listening to you when we've had long conversations, the importance of each person's journey. And I know that Sophia's here as well. And I'm sure Sophia and Thomas and your husband have all had very different journeys.
Yeah.
And it's recognizing that and connecting with what each person needs. So thank you for sharing what you have today.
Thank you, Fiona. And so Sophia, my daughter's here. Virginia here. She's been, I would say, somebody who rescued me. I knew her, we were not close friends, but she went to Sammy's funeral And she told me, I learned like a couple of weeks ago that she didn't have a nanny, so she had to leave one of her sons. She lost a son as well. But when she came to me, and she was with another mom who had lost a son from the same school as my kid, and she came with the other mom, and they hugged me. They hugged me in a way that I felt I was elevated. I had the sensation like I was. And Virginia has been with me on the graduation, many things. So thank you, Virginia. Community. I think having a community, knowing that alone you can't walk alone. And probably that's one of my biggest learning in this process. Also, I love to see faces. I really
You
cannot
have
forget Carolina. Yes.
Katya, you have a message from your daughter, but I'm going to send it in an email. Okay.
Thank you.
It's too hard to read, but she supports you so much.
Okay. 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 I'm gonna share Sophia's message, okay? She says, as someone who is going through a grieving process, I'm taking away more courage and perspective on how to take my personal life in account, but also maintain myself for my clients. I'm very proud of you. I thank you as a human, as a person who works in HR, and as a daughter. I love you, Mom. Me too, Sophia. So thank you all for being here. I don't know if anybody else has another question.
We have a message from Virginia. Katya, I admire you. You're so brave and determined. You're making a good work in grieving and helping others.
Great.
I think Manuela also wanted to say something. Go ahead, Manuela.
Thank you. I would like to thank you, Katya, for sharing your story and also for sharing some tools. So also having this perspective to what can we do. And I was wondering about, because silence, empathy are very important, are crucial. What do you think about having Zoom session on this delicate topic? Do you think that we can handle the silence, transmitting a lot of empathy, even if we are on Zoom? Or do you think that it's better to handle topic or having session on this topic just in person?
In presence?
Mm-hmm.
Look, I didn't want to see my therapist in person for a long time. I didn't want. I needed that distance. When she said, let's meet, I was not really sure I wanted. And with my coach, I have only Zoom sessions.
Okay.
But I guess it's about being present, being present for the other person. So when you are really present, you forget it's virtual. I have never seen my coach in person. I hope one day I meet her, but it was enough, more than enough. No, so I think it's about being present for the other person and being authentic about it, not being in, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you because for saying that, because I'm new, I'm in training as a coach, but as a psychologist, and I'm Italian. Now I'm in Miami because of my husband's job. But when I was in Italy, I worked in the palliative care area, so in hospice or a domicile with people with terminal illness. And so in this moment, I was thinking, is it possible to do this kind of, not giving some kind of help through Zoom? And so thank you for your answer, because you give me also this idea of maybe the client prefers that. It's not just an adjustment, is something that the client really wants. So it is a good perspective. It helped me.
And during lockdown, we had no option, no? So we had to learn, and honestly, I sometimes prefer virtual. I find it more efficient, no? And, but for certain situations, when my client wants, we agree, no? And it's possible. So
Thank you again.
thanks to you, I think our time is up.
Yes. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you. And Claudia has the presentation, so or maybe if you want, I don't know how to get it to you.
Yes.
Or if you write down,
we'll send it to. Yeah, you can write your emails in the chat.
We have the emails for the
Yeah.
We do.
ones that register. Everybody who register in the session, we have the emails.
Okay, for those of you who just joined with the link, you can leave us your email on the chat.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
so
Fiona.
thank you for coming, really. Thank you. Yeah.